Welcome to the instructional video for the Vortex Storm Stuffing Machine, and specifically the mulching cart that's included. What's great about the mulching cart is it actually has the ability to hold a full box of fiber so that you can transport this around easily, but then more specifically, be able to just open up, flip a switch, start to mulch your fiber directly into your machine, and after just about 60 seconds, you can have a full machine and start stuffing right away. So let's dive in. To start, we're going to simply open up the top of the mulching cart, and in here you'll find a hose, and on the back side you'll be able to locate the on and off switch. What's really important to make sure you do when feeding the hose with polyfiber is that you want to make sure you take a handful and just kind of slightly separate it with your fingers while it starts to get sucked in. I know that it's tempting to take this hose and just start sucking it up like a vacuum, but the problem with that is that you're going to overload the motor and you're going to cause it to clog and possibly burn out your motor. So it's really important to just take it handful by handful and allow the hose to actually suck the fiber for you. Before we start mulching our fiber in the cart, we want to make sure that we address the valves on top of your Vortex Storm Stuffing Machine. The first valve we're going to look at is the blue valve on the top. We want to make sure that we open this up by turning it counterclockwise, and then the next valve is the red one that we also want to look at by opening it up by turning it counterclockwise. This means that both valves are open, which is going to allow the fiber to shoot inside of the machine while also allowing excess pressure to exit the machine through the red valve that we have here. It's important to note when the valves are open or with the pipes, that means that the flow is going to be open. So with open, against is closed. Once the valves are open, the next thing we want to do is make sure that we could take off our safety filter and put on the mulching filter, which has a filter on it that's going to allow excess air to come out of the nozzle. Be sure to tighten this, because if you don't, you run the risk of once you start to mulch, there's going to be excess pressure that's built up in the machine, and that could actually shoot this off and you'll have fiber everywhere. The last little trick I like to do is before I start mulching, I do like to turn on the actual augers in the machine. This is going to allow it to continually spin, so as the machine fills up, it's going to continue to spin and allow the fiber to fall down towards the bottom. If you don't turn on the augers, what you'll find is that it'll start to build up a little bit on one side, and then as soon as you turn on that mulching system, the fiber is going to drop down and you're going to actually find out that you could have filled it up probably another 25% or so. Now that we have the whole system set up and ready to start mulching, let's get to it. As you're feeding the mulcher, as mentioned before, you want to make sure that you are breaking the fiber apart and allowing the fiber to be sucked into the hose while not just taking the hose and almost vacuuming around on the inside. Another note is after 3 or 4 handfuls of fiber, you want to make sure you put your hand on top of the hose, which is going to start to suck on your hand but build some pressure and allow the back hose to clear. If you don't put your hand over the hose and allow it to clear, you may find yourself getting a clog. So let's walk through what happens if you actually do get a clog. So let's say mid-process you're filling up your machine, but you actually allowed too much fiber to go into the mulcher too quickly, and you see a clog up at the top nozzle on the elbow. That's a very simple clear, so we're going to do a back flush process, which is as easy as closing your red valve, which is going to stop any excess flow from coming out of your stuffing machine. And the next thing you're going to want to do is simply engage your key, so as though you actually were going to start stuffing on your machine, and you're just going to lightly tap, which is going to cause some back pressure, and that back pressure is going to go up through the top nozzle and push that fiber out to clear. Once that has happened, all you're going to do next is simply go back, turn that red valve counterclockwise to open it back up, and you're just going to want to turn on your mulching system to allow that fiber to shoot back up and clear into the machine. Once you've seen that knot clear through the machine, then you can start and continue with your mulching process with the rest of the batch. Sometimes if you're doing a backflush protocol, you may have a really good sized clog, so you're gonna wanna go ahead and run that process 2 times. If for some reason after the second time you're not able to clear that clot of fiber that you have, you're gonna wanna go ahead and take off the actual top tube and just remove that by hand, followed by running that same backflush protocol. You'll know that your hopper is full when you've filled it to about 90%. If you go any higher than that, the likelihood of you experiencing a clog is going to dramatically increase. So you want to make sure you leave about a 5 to 10% gap at the top, which is just going to allow more of that volumization that take place while the machine is actually mulching on its own with the augers. As you can see, filling your Vortex Storm machine is as easy as 1, 2, 3. I usually like to allocate anywhere from 60 to 90 seconds from a completely depleted hopper to fill it back up. That gives you enough time to properly feed that hose, make sure that just enough fiber is being sucked into there. And what's great is that people love to watch these machines getting filled up and actually see what you're doing. So it adds to that showmanship of a Stuff-A-Plush experience. If you have any additional questions or need any additional support, please make sure to check us out at thebearfactory.com, or you can go ahead and email us at vortex@thebearfactory.com.